In this video, I will go through the Vajrayana system with the chakras, and then I will talk briefly also about the classical 7 chakra system in the colors of the rainbow from yoga and compare these two one another. And briefly, very briefly, I will talk about the Gospel of Thomas and a certain way of being. And if you notice the way someone speaks, it's very easy to start mimicking the way they speak, isn't it? Well, anyways, that we're going to come back to later. Let's first look at the Vajrayana system. And look here, we have in my drawing, there are 5 chakras. But ultimately, you only need 4. The 4 main chakras. The 5th one here is just something I'm working on. You don't have to do that. But here, in yogic tradition, one would start at the bottom, right? One would start with the Muladhara chakra in the tailbone. But in the Vajrayana system, it's a little bit different. The philosophy is like in the way that a scientist would say that chakras are either real or not real. In Vajrayana, we would say the chakras are not real. So if you have a practitioner who's like, oh, I gotta get this chakra balance just right, we would say, no. The chakra isn't real, it cannot hurt you, we would say. And so, in this system, we do something that's completely opposite to what a typical yogi would do when teaching sadhana. We start with the heart chakra. Now, there's a reason why they don't like to start with the heart chakra, and that is that when you notice your heart beating in a certain kind of way, then it can start to lead the breath and the awareness. And it's very nice when this happens. Say you get irregular heartbeat or tachycardia and you get dizzy. And when that happens, it's very nice to have a friend nearby to guide you, isn't it? Yeah? So therefore, some yogis don't want to teach this sadhana publicly because they cannot look after you. And this will happen to you as it has happened to me, and it'll happen to you. It can happen in a public place, your heart doesn't care. And all of a sudden, you get arrhythmias, so your heart goes takata 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 takata, and it's so severe that you have to lay down back on your back and you have to start counting on your breathing. And when this happens, one of the things that we can do with the Vajrayana system is that we have developed certain mantra sounds in our breathing. And what you have for the heart is hum. And we recommend you do that one inwards, but you can also do it on the exhale. There's nothing wrong about that. So this is the breath we do. This is the sound we learn and teach ourselves to get to the bottom of our lungs. Really without focusing too much on the navel chakra. That's a different sound. So here you have atum. Yeah, down there, and that can go inside and outside, but it's the one that is the most subtle, so it has the most complex kriya. So you go in, so it's both your mouth closed and open, and you try to open and close very subtly in such a way that it opens up any tensions, and it's the relaxation that guides it. Yeah, but hum is the main one. Right? So hum in your breathing, and then above that one we have which is out in more of a throat area. It passes through the throat and goes upwards. It's but you can do both in and out, but you have to understand the bowel and the shape of the dome. So bowels and domes. Think about that. Look at my drawings. Think about it. And so that's something you can use, and that you must be ready to use when it happens. And we say preferably before it happens. And you have to understand, just looking at these pictures now, this can start happening to you, because if you want it, it's definitely gonna happen. It's that good. Okay. I'm not saying it's that good for everybody. I'm just saying someone out there is gonna get it, but just by looking at pictures. It happened to me, it can happen to you. Now, we're gonna talk a little bit about, I guess, the Gospel of Thomas and another way of receiving tantric teachings. And I'm gonna say, because I sometimes get these visitors. One time I was visited by a being who, he looked like a person, but it was only the nerves, the blood veins, the lymphs, and he had a face. He had skin on his face, but he didn't have a mouth. In fact, he looked like Deadpool, in the X-Men movie that sucked. That is what he looked like in the face. And then his face emanated a symbol that looked like the symbol with the eyes and the breath coming out, and the third eye that's in, you often see them on buildings where Buddhists, especially Vajrayana Buddhists, reside. And so that's something he did, something I noticed, that he came to me. And I guess where we have to go with this is Vajrayogini. Okay, so these guys have been like, oh my God, Rick, you have to tell them about Vajrayogini. It's the best practice. We have the best practices here. It is for everybody. In this day and age, it will help someone. Of your listeners, it will help 100%. Also, she's 16 years old. She's naked. This is what you want. This is what you want. So we get a lot of that. And yeah, if you hear like, oh yeah, Tibetan Buddhism, yeah, if this is striking a chord within you, look up Vajrayogini. Vajrayogini. So female yogi that does Vajra practices. And that is what, and you're probably gonna stumble onto a YouTuber named Sem Tulku Rinpoche. And he's good. Yeah, listen to him. And of course, for yoga, Sadhguru is great. Comes in. See, when your mind is positioned in the right kind of way, then the energy can flow up through your spine. And that can be, and when it does that, it's very pleasurable. Isn't it? And the way I'm talking like now is something that is connected to the Gospel of Thomas, which is a collection of sayings from Jesus. And it's this way of relating to people. If you're around them all the time, you start to understand how they think through how they speak. And so the Gospel of Thomas is this collection of sayings that Jesus allegedly spoke. And so, through understanding these sayings, ultimately, you will come to understand Jesus, and ultimately, you will come to a way of understanding yourself that is really good, it's really healthy. That is the intention of that one. So a lot of people are looking for secret teachings, but with a lot of Tantra, the teachings are actually out in the open. They're hiding where you don't expect them to be found, which is right in front of you. And that's something I want you to grasp, that way of thinking, so that you can work on these images, man, and not really feel like you're working, but still get a lot of job done. And that will all tie back into the chakra system that I have presented in my last video, into the Vajra Chakra System that is being represented in this video, and the Vajrayogini practice, and the Gospel of Thomas. So 4 in 1 you get access to just by listening to me, if you understand what I said right now. So when you say, I read the Gospel of Thomas, understand that how can I use these sayings? When do I use them? There's a very revealing one when Jesus says, there's a man who asks him how he should divide his land between himself and his brothers that he has inherited. And he says, well, do I look like a divider? Who here thinks I'm a divider? And he turns around and looks at his disciples and the people. Like, he's obviously giving speeches in public. So it's about you understanding the sayings through understanding how it's used, and through understanding how Jesus thinks, that you become part of Christ consciousness.